Hey book nerds, I'm Travis, and this is Travis Reads Books. Since Halloween is fast approaching, I thought I would give some recommendations for some spooky movies that I think everyone should be watching this Halloween. And I thought I would pick some movies that maybe you haven't heard about or that don't get a lot of attention. So these are mostly some obscure and foreign titles, but they're all really scary and well worth your time this Halloween. My first pick is Let the Right One In by Thomas Alfredson. It's a Swedish film about a child vampire and the young boy she befriends and what happens to them, and sort of examining what it's like to be a vampire, 200-year-old vampire stuck in the body of a young girl. It's very scary, very creepy. It's based on a Swedish novel. There's also a Hollywood remake, which isn't bad. It's called Let Me In instead of Let the Right One In. It's also a very good movie, but definitely the original Swedish one is... It has a better atmosphere, it's creepier, it's scarier. Definitely the better of the two. My second pick is the Frankenstein series from Universal. And I know you might think everyone knows about Frankenstein, everyone knows about Bride of Frankenstein. Those are some of the most popular Halloween movies of all time. And that's true, and those are both classics. But what people don't realize is that there's others in the series that are almost as good. After Bride of Frankenstein, there is Son of Frankenstein, about Frankenstein's son carrying on his work back at his original laboratory. There's also the fourth one in the series called Ghost of Frankenstein. And these two movies also introduce the character of Igor, who has become synonymous with Frankenstein in popular culture. But he wasn't actually in the first two movies. He was created for the third movie. And he plays a big part in the third and fourth movie, along with Frankenstein's monster and Frankenstein's son. It's hard to breathe under there. All right. My third pick is Goodnight Mommy by Severin Fiala and Veronica Franz. It's an Austrian film. It's about two young boys whose mother comes back from getting reconstructive surgery, and she's acting strange and distant, and the boys become convinced that she is in fact not their mother at all, and she's been replaced, and things get very dark and very disturbing. It is a really chilling, terrifying movie. Not for the weak of heart, but it is really brilliant. There's this really creepy, isolated vibe to their country house without anyone around, and the whole thing is very disturbing. Definitely check it out.
Mama? Wer ist das? Du bist nicht unsere Mama. Bitte komm zurück, Mama. Ich mache alles. Jetzt kann sie uns nicht mehr auseinanderhalten.
My fourth pick is Antiviral by Brandon Cronenberg. It is a Canadian film. It takes place in a speculative future where our obsession with famous people and celebrity in general has taken over to the point where society is just completely effed. People eat food made from the cloned cells of famous people. There's like a market for diseases and infections that have been carried by famous people, and the story is about a courier who takes the viruses from someone famous that people are willing to pay money for, and he holds it and takes it in. It incubates in his body. There's a mystery behind what's going on. It's very creepy, very disturbing, definitely Cronenbergian, if that's a word. Again, not for the squeamish, but it's a really interesting commentary on our society and a really creepy film.
Do you not agree that the mania surrounding celebrity is reaching an unhealthy level?
No, I don't. My clients want to feel more connected to those people that they see in the magazines and on television.
Enjoy.
So far, I've had all her diseases.
Must have been expensive.
Is there any way you could spread it?
What happened to Anna Geist?
It's pretty shocking.
Have you started bleeding yet?
Bleeding.
From your mouth.
My next pick is Funny Games. It's another Austrian film. This one's from 1997 by Michael Haneke, and he also directed a remake of his own movie 10 years later in 2007, starring Naomi Watts and Tim Roth. And there's not a huge difference other than the language, but I would recommend the original Austrian version if you have the choice. I can't really pin down what makes his original version better than the Hollywood version. Maybe it's just that I saw it first. But either way, these are both movies that are well worth watching. It's a very simple concept. It's about a family that there's a home invasion, and these two young men basically just hold this family captive, and what makes it special is that it's not just this voyeuristic look at torture of the torture of this family, like so many torture films before and after it. It's more about asking you as the audience why you're watching what you're watching. Why it's appealing, why you want to see this family tortured. What are your motivations as the audience? And I think that makes it interesting and thought-provoking, and the sort of movie that can be discussed forever. I think most people who have seen it, I think they miss the point. I think it's not exactly critically acclaimed. I think they just see it as this over-the-top, violent torture porn, and I think that's really missing what it's actually about. So definitely check out either of those, but if possible, I would recommend the original Austrian.
Was gibt's denn noch?
Da ist jemand.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag. Bitte entschuldigen Sie die Störung. Ich komme von nebenan.
Oh, das ist ein wunderbares Galloway, nicht wahr?
Nicht gefälligst, aber schnell.
Herr Schober!
Wollen Sie jemand anrufen? Die Rettung? Oder die Polizei?
Warum tun Sie das? So, bitte. Paul. Wir wetten, dass ihr in 12 Stunden alle 3 kaputt seid, okay?
A, B, U und draus bist du. Das ist ziemlich erkennlich.
Warum bringt ihr uns nicht gleich um? Sie dürfen den Unterhaltungswert nicht vergessen. Wir würden doch alle um unseren Spaß gebracht.
Next up is You're Next by Adam Wingard. It is a film about a family that gets attacked by a gang of creepy mask-wearing miscreants trying to kill them all. It's a very worn-out, overdone concept, but Adam Wingard really sort of turns it around and sort of makes, well, I don't want to give anything away, but things aren't what you expect, and I think it really turns a lot of tropes on their head and keeps things fresh and interesting, and it's well worth watching.
This wasn't a random attack.
My next pick is The Babysitter. This is a Netflix original. It just came out. It's directed by McG. And if you know who that is, that should probably be enough to send you running away screaming. And I would too. I probably never would have watched it if I had known beforehand it was directed by McG, who is behind such classics as Terminator Salvation and Charlie's Angels. But this movie is actually really good. I mean, it has that sort of McG, super slick, overproduced look and feel, but in this case it kind of works. And it's about a young boy who's sort of scared of everything in the world, and he's 12 years old. He still needs a babysitter, and so one night he decides to stay up and see what his babysitter gets up to after he goes to bed when she's babysitting him. And I don't want to give anything away because the shock and the fun is really part of what makes it good. And if you're going to see this movie, do yourself a favor. Do not watch the trailer and do not read the synopsis on Netflix, because they basically give away everything and ruin the whole movie. So you'll get a lot more enjoyment out of it if you go in blind. But it's got some great shock moments. It's got some great laugh out loud moments. It's got some great, super gory moments. It's a really fun horror comedy for Halloween. My next pick is The House of the Devil by Ty West. I've actually talked about this in another video, and House of the Devil is really underrated. And people, for the most part, don't like it because it's very slow. It takes a long time to sort of build up to when the scary stuff starts happening. But I think that's part of its charm. It's sort of a slow burn that really makes you appreciate the scary stuff when it happens. The whole film is really just sort of a love letter to 70s horror films. It's really got that 70s classic horror film vibe. And things, when they get scary, they really get scary and creepy and disturbing. And it's really an enjoyable, scary film.
Here we go.
Are you not the babysitter?
Oh my god!
Talk to me, Lord. Talk to me.
My second last pick is The Girl Next Door by Gregory Wilson. And this is the 2007 movie, not the 2004 romantic comedy starring Alicia Cuthbert. This is a different kind of terror. It's about a girl who is forced to go and stay with her aunt. She's basically tortured by her aunt. And where the real terror comes in is other people find out, and it just becomes this community of people not caring about what's happening to her and partaking and doing terrible things to her. And what's really scary about this movie, which is based on a book by Jack Ketchum, is that it's actually true, and this actually happened. And I think that makes it really disturbing to watch and see these events unfolding and know that there was not just a bad person, but an entire community that got behind this scenario and supported what was going on and didn't do anything to help. It's definitely a different kind of scary movie to watch for Halloween.
You want to think about one thing, girl. Well, two things, actually. First, it could be your little sister hanging here instead of you. And second, I know some of the bad things you've done, and I'm kind of interested to hear them, so maybe this confessing isn't such a kid's game after all. I can hear it from the one of you, or I can hear it from the other. You just think about that.
No!
And my final pick for a great Halloween movie you've probably never heard of is Martyrs by Pascal Laugier. I don't know how to say that exactly. It's a French-Canadian film. It is about a young girl who is found by the side of the road, and indications are that she's been held captive and tortured for a long time, and they never really get answers about what happened to her. And then the film jumps to 15 years later, as she's older, and she goes out with a friend she has made who has also experienced some childhood trauma, and goes out trying to take revenge on the people who kidnapped and tortured her as a child. But she's very unbalanced, and through the whole movie, you're not really sure what is real, what's in her head, what happened, who's guilty, who's innocent, and then it just takes sort of a bonkers turn at the end. Things get really strange. Again, not one for the squeamish. There's some disturbing stuff in there, but it is really creepy and really unique, and you definitely don't expect it to go where it goes. So those are my 10 recommended movies for you to watch this Halloween. All great movies that probably don't usually get the love they deserve. Thanks for watching. Love and respect. See you next time.